this point, my husband has looked at the nurse and said, "You will not be taking my wife to another hospital that's an hour and a half away. That's not convenient for us. And if you're just going to take her to a hospital, I'll take her to a hospital that's more equipped, that's closer to our home and more convenient for us." And she said, "Sir, your wife could deliver this baby at any time. She's dilating, she's progressing, and the baby's already so small, it doesn't take much for the baby to be born at this point. And she's already feeling pressure and still leaking fluid. Like, it just is going on and on and on." He said, "You're not going to take her an hour and a half away. If you could please just get me some kind of discharge papers so we can get out of here. And you're saying time is of the essence. Let's go." And she leaves, goes and gets the discharge papers and another nurse. My husband looks at me and says, "Are you all right to go with me? Can you walk? Are you good?" And I said, "I am in pain, but let's go. I'm ready to go." I mean, who's been with me the whole time during this whole pregnancy, making the good decisions, there with me, telling me something was wrong, finding out answers? My husband, and the good Lord. The doctors, the nurses, the hospitals have failed me to this point, and that's why I'm in this current situation. So I'm going with my husband. They're not taking me an hour and a half away from my family when we don't know the outcome. We don't know how long I'm going to be at the hospital. We don't know if the baby's going to be born. We don't know what the outcome will be. So she comes in with the papers, her and another nurse. They're both standing there. She slides them over to me and she says, "Ma'am, by signing these papers, you are saying that if anything happens to your baby, if your baby dies in the parking lot, you go into full deliver your baby in the parking lot, you need help, your baby needs help, we are not responsible at that point. You would have to re-come into the hospital and get help. But we aren't responsible once you go out those doors." She just looked at me and said, like, if my baby dies. I'm all full of these emotions and feelings. And I'm like, okay, all right. I'm close to like an emotional breakdown. I'm just like, sign the papers. Let's get out of here. Let's go. Time is of the essence. We leave. The nurses are watching me walk out the door, like an eerie feeling, almost like in a movie where you hear the somber music and people are watching everything happening unfold. They feel like I'm making the most horrible decision I could ever make. We go to my house first because it's on the way to the other hospital. We stop and get a few things. My daughter, my mother-in-law, we're all packed up. We're going to the hospital. We get to the hospital. It's dark outside. I started my day off around noon and now it's dark. And I walk into the ER entrance and I go up to the desk and I tell them what's going on. I'm in pain, okay, at this point. I'm still leaking fluid and blood and mucusy stuff. And I feel like the strongest period cramp that I've ever had. That's what it feels like a really strong period cramp that's consistent, and I'm exhausted at this point. So I go to tell the ladies at the front desk what's going on. They said, "We're expecting you. The other hospital called us and let us know, made us aware that you're on your way." So we already have somebody coming with a wheelchair to come and get you. So I'm waiting for them. They come get me in the wheelchair. They take me off up an elevator. At this point, we all get lost in transit. Okay, my husband and my daughter and my mother-in-law, they're separate from me. I get up to the labor and delivery room. They get me in a robe. They get me on the bed. The doctors, nurses, lights on. Everything's going on. This room is huge, big window. I'm like, this isn't very comfortable. This is like out of my realm, out of my comfort zone. And everything is happening so fast right now. And that's what you want. But to me, I'm like, this whole pregnancy, I felt like something was wrong. And now in a matter of 3 days, especially today, all this has happened. So I'm sitting there. My mother-in-law walks in at some point and sits on the couch next to me. My husband is still not there. He's with my daughter. And with COVID and everything, at that time still being a risk and being it's a high-risk pregnancy, I'm up on the labor and delivery floor. The nurses made me aware that my daughter would not be able to come into the room. Visiting hours are only at a certain point. Being that she was of a certain age and they don't want any contamination of any sort, even though my daughter didn't have COVID. They're like, it's a COVID risk. No, certain amount of people, certain days, certain times, and she's too young, whatever it was. So I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, so my husband's with my daughter at this point, and they aren't going to be even allowed in the room. I'm on my own. I'm on my own now. I'm not surrounded by the people I love. What's going on? My mother-in-law is sitting there, and she's very quietly, and everybody's very nervous. So with all this going on, they have my legs up, they're swabbing me, they're checking me, they're talking the medical lingo that I still to this day don't understand. And I close my eyes at this point because I feel like an overwhelmed feeling that I don't want anybody else to experience. It was the unknown. I was very upset, and I close my eyes and I get into my peace. I just like, Lord, I need your peace right now. I need your peace. I need you to surround me because I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know the outcome. So if you could please just hold me and let me know everything is going to be okay, then I will be all right. I need your peace. I need your presence. And I'm just saying this to myself very quietly, sitting there with my eyes closed, and I kid you not. This is a feeling unlike any other. You have to experience to really know what I'm talking about. I've experienced this a few times in my life, but this time, like, I will never forget. I felt arms wrap around me, under my arms, hold me tight, and like a headrest on my shoulder. You know when somebody you love, somebody you trust, holds you. I'll use my husband, for example. He comes up behind me, he wraps his arms around me unexpectedly, and he just holds me. Like, I feel safe, I feel whole, I feel complete. And I feel like nothing in the world could ever go wrong at that point. That's what I felt. The good Lord wrapped his arms around me, and at that point, I just felt like I was hit with a wave of peace and comfort, and I knew everything was going to be okay. I knew it at that point. So I opened my eyes, and the doctor slides over in his little swivel stool, and he goes, "Ma'am, you are dilated to about 1.5 centimeters, going to 2, and your mucus plug has already started to shed. It's mostly gone at this point. You've lost that. We have swabbed you, and you are still testing positive. This is now the second positive test of a leakage of amniotic fluid." He said, "I do not believe your water has completely broke, but I do believe that you have a leak." He said, "Picture a dam, okay? And it starts to spring a leak. Here, you try to plug this one, this one, this one, and all your fingers are trying to plug all these holes, and it's about to burst open because there's no holding back all that pressure. That's what's going on right now. So you are contracting regularly. We got the monitors on you. Right now it's a waiting game. If we can hold off on your water actually breaking completely and get a handle and grasp on this, that's what we're going to do, because we do not want your water to completely break at this point. So it's a waiting game. We're going to get you on some antibiotics, some fluids, and then what was the magnesium? They had me on magnesium. They said because we are preparing to deliver your baby, and he is so early, we want his lungs to be a little more hardy, right? So this magnesium will help that. So they had me on all that, and they leave the room. It becomes kind of quiet. My husband walks in with my daughter. Wait, they told me before I even walked in the room that my daughter wouldn't be able to be in the room. She wouldn't even be able to be up on that floor. She'd have to be in the waiting area. And he walks with my daughter. So there's another miracle that I'm experiencing and watching unfold. They both walk in. Everybody's quiet at this point. It's a waiting game. My husband talks to the doctors and the nurses, and they're like, "We're going to keep her for the night at least, until we get a grasp on things. We're going to get an ultrasound in her kidneys. We're going to get an ultrasound on the baby. We're going to do a few more tests. We're going to get her with some more fluids in there because time is of the essence." So I end up staying not only that night, but I end up staying for a whole 7 days at this hospital. They do a lot more tests. They do multiple ultrasounds. And I finally get my diagnosis on day 7. Everybody knows now I have excess fluid. They don't understand the back pain. They're trying to stop this labor and delivery from happening. And they're going to extend it for as long as they can. So on the next video, because this is already a lengthy video, I'm going to explain what all happened in those 7 days, the tests they did, the ultrasounds they did, the results of those, all the worry, what the specialist finally has to say, my treatment plan. And as at this point, I'm 26.5 weeks pregnant, right going into about 27 weeks. So my next video will be on all of my hospital stay, the diagnosis of that, how they go about treating that, and just more and more miracles unfold at this point. I mean, they already let my daughter in. I am stable in a way at this point. They're expecting me to deliver a baby. They've already rolled in the little incubated baby bassinet on wheels, little zebra or giraffe, I think they call it at this point. And I'm emotional, but I feel peace. I feel that peace. Everything's going on. Back pain. The contractions I feel are super hard, like period cramp going on. The baby is moving at this point too. He's moving like crazy. The whole pregnancy was super active. So all that going on, and now it's time to stay at the hospital for 7 days, and more symptoms pop up, and they go about treating me a whole different way. So follow along. It's coming all together.